Welcome to our podcast. This is Parks Uncut and I'm Monica, the Parks Manager for Kensington and Chelsea. Thank you to everyone who has sent in comments about the podcast. The feedback so far has been brilliant and we really appreciate your support. If you like the podcast, please leave a review and please do send any ideas or questions to parks@rbkc.gov.uk. Today we're meeting more of the idverde team. You'll meet members of the team in Holland Park, and then Hassan and Bulent will be joined by their counterparts in idverde talking about their work in the south and north of the borough.
Hello, my name is Owen Rogers. I'm the head gardener at Holland Park. We're contractors working for idverde for the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. My position in the park is to manage a team of 20 odd staff working within it. We do cleansing, we do bin changing, we do gardening, and generally maintenance wise for the park. And with me is my associate John.
So yeah, I'm one of Owen's staff. I've been working in Holland Park for 15 years, and for the last 18 months I've been nursery technician. So basically I'm sort of responsible for the glasshouse, growing plants and looking after the yard, taking in deliveries and things like that. So yeah, I'm a part of quite a happy, largest team, I guess.
As they call it, a family.
A family?
Yeah, I've got a whole load of children.
So you can't choose your family, can you,
No,
Owen?
you can't. You live with them. And I mean, John, you look after the nursery and you grow a load of plants for me because at the end of the day, I choose them all and ship them in, and you get what you're given.
Yeah, Owen gives me far too many plants to grow. I've not got the space for them all. And we do formal planting twice a year. So we have a summer sort of planting scheme and a winter-spring planting scheme. So that's my main responsibility, preparing those plants. And Owen comes up with wonderful design ideas.
Yeah, which are poo-pooed sometimes, but most of the times I get away with it.
Yeah.
And you know, one of my favourite parts about my job, of course, is the design. Try and get people involved with it. We've got the Dutch garden and the sundial and the Napoleon gardens where the dahlias live in the summer. It's a major part of my role to keep this park looking at its best throughout the seasons.
Well, it's a big part of people, sort of, especially the locals that come here, and they look forward to a different kind of display every summer, every winter, and they'll certainly let you know whether it's a success or not, don't they?
Don't they just? Yes. They are my biggest critiques.
Yeah, but that's a good thing in a way. It keeps you on your toes, Owen, you know? So,
it does. I mean, everyone's got their own ideas of how the park should look and what they want to see from it.
A lot of people sort of rather stick to more sort of kind of old-fashioned sort of traditional ideas. So we try and sort of push different ideas and sort of new ideas, and I think that kind of works. But obviously, it's never going to please everyone, and we're quite used to that, aren't we? So
we are.
But I think that's a part of the fun, isn't it? You know, it teaches you to defend your corner as well. I think that's any part of design. You've got to sort of justify what you've done in terms of a new idea. So you've got to be prepared to sort of fight your corner, essentially.
Yeah, and they see it from the very beginning, you know, through planting and planning. They see the work that goes into it. And they'll come in on a daily basis and see it grow and change. And it's developing throughout the season until I suppose the final flush later on in the
year. And people sort of, so we get people that come here every day, and I kind of think saying, for some people, we gardeners might be the only people that they talk to for their entire day, which is
like agony aunts, aren't we?
Well, kind of. You'll just sort of, if you're sort of there working, they'll sort of catch your eye and have a little chat. And like I say, it's kind of almost not operating as some sort of social worker as well as or just a listening ear. So that's you're part of that. A kind of fabric of communication. So it's more than just being a gardener. You're a part of a sort of social kind of transference or exchange of ideas, or just looking after each other, looking out for people. If you haven't seen someone who's a regular, you kind of ask questions about, well, wonder what's happened to them, and Parks Police might know, or someone might pick up on that and follow it up. So yeah, it's important that it's a kind of, there's that aspect of community. So it is, it's a large park, but there's still that aspect of a local park as well as being a destination park as well. It's obviously a victim of its own success in those terms, and numbers are getting more and more. We've got the design museum nearby, so that obviously brings in a newer sort of crowd, younger crowd from not within the area. So the numbers are sort of certainly getting more and more, aren't they? So
I mean, when it comes to planting, I mean, we grow probably about 45,000 each of bedding plants throughout the year. We're starting to grow sort of herbaceous and shrubs for use within the borough. This is a new project for us. I mean, it's extensive. We're training. We've got apprentices here that we train, and we're training in all forms of horticulture. We've got this glass house here. The facility that we've got here is amazing for learning and teaching students. And that, being a huge benefit, gives us the option then to train them in pleaching fruit trees, or nurturing plant stock. We do veg growing in the summer, and little bits and pieces like that keeps the ideas going for the junior members of staff.
Well, yeah, I think that's important, isn't it? It's because unfortunately, just the nature of the work is there's a lot of repetition. So, that's just the fact of looking after a public space. You go out there in the morning, you have to pick litter and, do sort of look out for sort of any dangers or whatever. So, and that's, part of your job. So we try and sort of mix it up as much as possible. So, there's a variety of work rather than the sort of same mundane jobs all the time. So, it's an important part of it. Even if you're learning, we certainly within the apprentice scheme, they have a learning day, don't they? So that they can sort of take a qualification and get a level 2 qualification, isn't it, in horticulture.
They've helped in building gardens. The sensory garden was recently done in the park, and they help with a lot of preparation work in that. Every so often we do plant idents for them, so they're learning about plants within the park. Obviously we all have our own favourite plants. John, what's yours?
Well, I like foraging, so I actually like getting out there and talking to people. There's some really interesting characters in the park who forage, and they don't pick too much. So, but certainly sort of there's enough in the park to keep you going. There's one lady that I speak to who's really into her sort of holistic medicine, and she sort of knows all the buck remedies. There's a plum cherry tree up here that's apparently it's meant to stop you from going insane. So we need plenty of that. Okay. That's one of the buck remedies. So it's interesting knowing things like that, and you pick up a lot of information from local people. So that's really where I'm at. I like the idea of using a park in a different way, not just coming to see, but sort of engaging in it a bit more. Although obviously you can't just sort of disappear with lots of plants, but at the same time, there's a few berries and whatever every now and again. She takes nettles to make nettle soup. So just using a park in a more different way to what you normally would. So
I'm a big fan of the what have we got? The poplars. The red leaf poplar, which is in a new planting scheme, which I'm hoping to get, and Populus nigra. Purple tower, I think there's a variety. That's a big favourite of mine. Plants within the park, there's a whole host of acacias we have here that look fantastic in the glowing, the quiet times of the year. They bring about so much colour. And they're a lovely sight. And we've got the Camellia Walk. We've got
the Campsis are always a favourite with me. The Campsis is really lovely to see that in bloom.
And then we've got some fantastic trees in the park as well. We've got the Friends do a list of notable trees, and there we are keep updating those regularly. With modern climate changing, we are growing new and different varieties. So it's a varied landscape in this park.
My name's Hassan. I'm the parks officer for Kensington and Chelsea. Mainly deal in the south of the borough, so from around Holland Park down to the river. So that includes several parks, and I'm joined with David, who's the supervisor for the grounds team for the south of the borough. So for people who are listening, like on a kind of, what does your role kind of encapsulate on a day-to-day, say?
Thanks, Hassan. Yes, we have approximately 30. We had 33 sites. We're now pushing 40 sites around the southern part of the borough. That runs down to the Thames, as you say. We do we've got 3 man parks, and we do all the landscaping and etc. on these 3 mainly, and then unmanned parks. So they consist of the other 30 odd sites that we work in tandem with you, of course.
Yeah,
and
that's like a variety of sites.
Yeah, a variety of sites, and they're all quite diverse in their in its entirety, with the southern part being a different growth patterns to let's say further up north. It's sort of a microclimate. Work that we've we keep on certain plants are better suited to various parts of the parks.
I guess because there's different challenges in it. Because say like Dovehouse Green, that sits right on. That's an open park sitting right on King's Road, and so you get all kinds of foot traffic and obviously the actual road traffic. But then you've got like tucked away ones like Westfield Park and stuff like that. So I guess it's like. Yeah, you've got to keep on top of. Yes, exactly.
We have Westfield Park is predominantly tree based, and a beautiful array of different varieties, and our hidden gem, which is it's really a beautiful park.
Yeah.
However, Dovehouse Green is highly utilised. There are loads of people that come and go, and the massive trees around us have an influence on the shrubbery. That we put in there, as you know, and that also changes somewhat. As in St. Luke's, which is a very formal in certain aspects, and the plant type, the formal type plants are also different. So it gives a very exciting overview of never a dull moment, so to speak. In all the parks, there's always something being changing, and the gardens change, through the seasons. And I must say that it's really enjoyable working like that, because there's always some form of stimulus along the way. If there's, if you don't get any, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So there's always you're always on the go.
The speaking of different parks, because one of the parks we mentioned that out of the 3 that of the ones that are manned are staffed are Westfield Park and St. Luke's
and Cremorne.
And Cremorne Gardens. That obviously poses its own challenge because it's right on the river as well, so you get all the wind, all the
very
sunlight.
Much so.
Yeah. But was there any out of those 3, any parks really? Is there any like particular park you kind of fond of in particular?
Well, I've grown. Excuse the pun. I enjoy Westfield because of the trees. I've always enjoyed trees and being brought up in big plantations and near forests. And always loved being in the outdoors and indigenous plant growth around the place. So Westfield has caught my eye because of its it changes through the seasons. Your autumn foliage and springs,
for sure.
spring and full summers and etc. Westfield would be edges St. Luke's just a bit, because St. Luke's has its own draw. That one section that runs down the side opposite the mess room, all the way down that walkway. It's really nice, and there's lots of work needed, but it's very lush.
Yeah, you see people like making a beeline to walk down that through the park to get to where they're going, but it's obvious that you've got roads either side. They could easily just walk down those alleyways, but instead, or not alleyways, but those streets, but they instead choose to walk through the park because it's so lush, especially behind in the play side behind the toilet. I quite like that people find that they can have like a moment to walk through the park.
It's given that it's a very high footfall. And for the play areas where the playground, where the massive amounts of loads and loads of kids are there. There's always something happening. We've got primary schools and kiddies, creches that are around there also. But
very high.
I've actually noticed, as you say, people coming through and making a point of walking through the park. Where they could have walked around which is a shorter distance to get to where they want to, which is usually the high street. They come straight through, and inevitably it's the football, everything slows down dramatically because it's pretty. And we got loads of benches, and the amount of people that are there through summer primarily are just just phenomenal, and loads of people frequent it, and the park keepers have a great rapport with the public, and that bodes well for just a general high. It's just pleasant.
They're
going in there. Everybody knows everybody else. So there's always stopping, and getting work done sometimes can be a problem. But
when you speak with them, you can tell they're in tune with what's going on with the with the visitors, with the community. So it's good, I think it's a good asset to have keepers, especially in parks like high-profile parks like St. Luke's, like Westfield.
And it's nice also, just having with being around here, there's always open discussion with us, and it's also a pleasure working. We work, our colleagues, and even council, our bosses, so to speak, or our client. There's a very good rapport, and I think because the benchmark or the bar has been lifted. All the time, and just several years ago, there've been major changes, and it's been a pleasure getting there. It's been tough, but
because you managed the whole borough at one point,
I did.
Didn't you? So you had to, at one point, all the way up to Ladbroke Grove.
I did the whole lot, but my preference is certainly the south. We've got a good team. We've got a good team going, and the guys are melding in because it's taken a little bit of time. And I think that we're all our teams. Everybody's on the same field here because it's apples with apples, and that makes things so much easier. Because asking where you can't run around to everybody and you speak whatever it is that you need, and we all know what the other means. And that saves so much time and energy, and particularly that things go right. There are a couple of hiccups here and there, but those are minuscule, and we get along so well with getting the jobs done. There are pressures, but work wouldn't be really exciting if you didn't have them.
True.
So it's a little bit of pressure here and there just gets everybody, keeps the cobwebs out.
Is there any? It doesn't necessarily have to be in one of the major parks, but is there any particular area that you are fond of? Like, say, I don't know, like somewhere maybe even on the Chelsea Embankment or Ropers?
Yes,
or
Chelsea Embankment's sort of, again, grown on me because there's all this new work that's been put through by, I think it's Ginkgo. And they've done a really good job. And the designs, etc., would have taken us quite a while having put together. They managed it in a very short period. Because they had they got the resource.
We do, but it's obviously it's spread out and it's a
big lot of work.
More workers on it. So
that in spring I reckon is going to really start looking good. The basics. If you can see the plant growth that's been put in, I know what it's going to be like. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's all in its infancy at the present moment, so everything's going to going to expand out.
Yeah.
And I think the methods that they've done and the choice of plant material is going to accentuate, because it's a visual garden. Everybody it's on the main road.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's going to be stunning when it gets out, because you've got that facade of a picture, really, as changing picture as you go down. So it's going to. They thought about it.
Yeah.
And thought long and hard, I reckon, and it's going to look good. So my preference is that at the present moment. So I'm going with a little bit of bias.
It changes depending. Okay.
The others are various other sites. Dove House, I've got a very keen opinion of that one, because we've upgraded
so much work. You've done so much
we've done
work
so much
there.
work. We upgraded it to a pretty good standard now, and it's just keeping it there is also quite a big challenge for us in summer.
Similar to Chelsea Green as well, around the corner. You put a lot of work.
Yeah, we did a lot of work to that.
And continuously, because of how much footfall gets around there.
Yeah, there's loads and loads.
There's loads of features, loads of particular parks with a lot of different challenges, but you've definitely come through for a lot of them. So
I think across the board we've got there's always work to do, extra works to be done, but I think the guys are giving it a good go, and it's I must say that the morale is I'd say 9 really good. 9 out of a scale of 1 to 10.
Really?
Yeah, I think the guys are really good, because they go. The team, asked to do certain things, and if needed, they go the extra mile.
Yeah.
And the communications, I think, is a big factor with us. So it's I'd like to believe that we can have that kind of rapport.
Yeah.
It's good, because it just helps, as I said earlier, it helps that we're on the same level, and that the guys know what I want, and we discuss things.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty, and because they're also a lot of the everybody else is also knowledgeable in the line of horticulture.
Yeah, I was going to say they're experienced as well, and they're up for having a conversation about it, instead of
I'm not. It's got to be done this way. No.
Yeah, exactly.
We meld it in, because it's horticulture is one of those things that, to a certain degree, it's through interpretation, but the interpretation falls in certain parameters.
Yeah.
And if you keep within those, and you can adjust, it gives your own. Everybody seems we're going along with what everybody needs and likes, so we follow that criteria.
Yeah.
And it's working. And instead of having to chase, after this, we don't do that at all. So we have a good rapport.
Yeah.
And that's I was going to say earlier that the guys go the extra mile.
Yeah.
And where we can help, to facilitate a better product, that's really what it is that we do.
Hello, my name is Bülent Kazim. I work for the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea as the Parks Officer for the north of the borough.
And hello, my name's John Quick, and I work for idverde. I'm the supervisor in the north, and Bullet and I work together on all our parks and gardens in the north. We're here just talking about our routines and our favourite parks and all sorts of things like that. I think the first thing to note is that our day, or my day, certainly starts around 7 o'clock when all the parks are opening, and the teams who are arriving at work have seen whether there's been any damage to the parks, this sort of thing, opening up the toilets and looking at the gardens, and just overnight checking of basically if the parks have in good order. So I get phone calls from all over the boroughs, just basically giving me updates, making sure everyone's in at work, and then we talk about their routine and schedules and rotas, because everything's based on seasons, everything's based on and it's all been planned in advance. Everyone's in. When they start work, they're into their routine, but it's certainly to do with a lot to do with the upkeep of the parks and gardens, and certainly all the gyms and playgrounds that we have, and it is our responsibility.
So the difference between our job during the winter and the summer can be quite varied, because our parks are open nearly twice as long in the summertime compared to the winter. So there's a lot more usage to the toilets, to all facilities, to the grass, and that brings its own challenges. Also, so when I go out to a park and I'm doing my checks on the parks to see if everything's safe, everything's in order, how the work's going for idverde, I'm looking out for anything that could be dangerous, that needs to be made safe, any sort of improvements that could be made in the park as well, and also reporting any issues with our facilities. But I also look at the horticultural work as well, including sort of grass cutting, litter picking, shrub maintenance, but there's sort of particular attention paid on playgrounds, where we make sure that the play equipment is safe, and any issues that we notice there, we always make sure that we ensure that it's taken out of action if there's a dangerous item, and then reported and repaired as soon as possible.
Well, I think that we've got, actually the good thing is we've got actually more checks and balances, which is a good thing, and particularly with all the new facilities that have gone into Avondale, have gone into KMP and Emsley. All the upgrades have been incredible. So yes, those routines are. But I think your job has been also helps us in the horticultural side, because a lot of the park keepers are very much into their routines, but suddenly maybe a drain that has been left that could be a trip hazard, or all sorts of things. So you've been, it's invaluable for actually your refined eye to keep those smaller things, which we sometimes miss. We're into the pruning at the moment, and then we're really wanting to mulch. Mulching is the big thing to try and improve the bedding. So that's what we're going for. And then, of course, grass seeding, improvement of grass areas.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, as you say, footfall, which you mentioned, and that's a big thing about how we improve now in the growth time, which is March.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Today I was out on site at Avondale Park, and I was looking at sort of the grass, the condition of the grass, and how and where we focus our attention on in terms of improving it, because that type of thing can pose a challenge, because a lot of the grass areas get worn down during the summer, and then if we end up trying to repair a patch of grass, we need to close it off for up to 6 weeks, or even up to 10 weeks on some occasions, and that restricts the amount of space the public has to use in the park. So we've got to think about, that's one of the factors we've got to think about when we close off areas to do repairs. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Sometimes we've got to plan it over a series of years, and we'll say that we'll improve this area, and the next year we'll do this bit.
No, I think I think it needs to be described that there is, even at this quiet period, there are people on gyms, there are people playing tennis, there are dog walkers, and family days. The intensity of the parks have increased tenfold, and when you see all those elements that come together in one area, such as Avondale or Emsley, this puts strains on the park. But I must just make mention that we had, in that last storm, we've still even clearing up on some of the parks and gardens. The shrubs have fallen over, and we're still trying to reshape them, and so there's ongoing works all the time when we have those storms and damages, along with what we're trying to do with seasonal work. So
no, absolutely, and then you've got all the other aspects as well, such as Notting Hill Carnival, where there's a lot of preparations for that, and it's a massive clean-up, which you guys do. Yeah, so I mean, you guys spend about 2 weeks dedicated just to that.
Just the cleaning up, yes. Even if it's footpaths and shrub beds and things. But it's getting better. I think we're certainly... But I think the grass, that's where it really gets the hit. it's the grounds after the carnivals. But at this stage and this time of year, no, this is an exciting time for the bulbs coming up. See the crocuses are coming, and I mean it's really lovely starting to see some colour, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, definitely.